Greetings, Internet, and welcome back for another Oxleymations presentation. For today's video, this is going to be an interesting one, for lack of a better term. Now, for the next great while, there's not really going to be many videos of this type. As I mentioned in the video where I got the Mo Howard ventriloquist puppet, I'm going to be pulling back on the whole collecting thing, which I already have been. In the past, let's see, it's May now. In the past 5 months, these are the only things that I've really bought. Aside from an occasional trip to the Goodwill here and there, but that's not important to this particular story. For today's video, as evidenced in the title below Big Frank over here, I purchased something from Facebook Marketplace, and, well, another something. Mo Howard was the one thing, this is another thing, but again, that's irrelevant to this particular video. So, as you would probably guess by the fact that I'm talking about it, the package arrived in the mail today. So contained within this box, this container right here, are two of the, and I mean two of the rarest ventriloquial figures, well, children's toy ventriloquist figures you can get your hands on, if you can find them. So, to kind of set this up, back in the 70s and the 80s, I think it was only into the early 80s, back in those days, in the back of comic books, and especially the Johnson Smith catalog, which would later become known as the Things You Never Knew Existed catalog, there was an advertisement, or there would be advertisements, I'll go ahead and throw a picture up on the screen here in a minute, of ventriloquist figures that you could buy for like $3 or $4, depending on the era of the advertisement. So go ahead, editing me, throw those pictures in here. So, according to those advertisements, which were very misleading, you'd get like a full-size ventriloquist figure, because in that one little corner over there, you see a kid like holding up the puppet, and it's like, you know, in the image, it's about this big. But what you would actually get are the contents of this box. Now, you could get either one of these figures. Let me start opening the box while I'm talking. Now, you could either get one of these figures for like $3, or you could get both of them for about $8. Again, depending on the era in which you got them, because obviously, as time went by, the price... Ooh, I almost stabbed myself in the finger. As time went by, the price on these things had to go up because of, you know, rising costs of production and all that nonsense. And the fact that these things are made of plastic. So in the late 70s, plastic became more expensive to produce because of something to do with petroleum. There was like an embargo on it or some nonsense like that. I don't know the full story there, but it's the reason why G.I. Joe went from being the 12-inch figures down to like Super Joe scale. But anyway, because of that kind of nonsense and other contributing factors, plastic became harder to produce for cheaper costs, and such, anything made of plastic, including these little figures here, would go up in price. That's all I was trying to say, but I was talking my way in circles trying to get there. Let's see, did I completely sever this strip of tape all the way across? I did. But there's more. Okay. Sorry, folks. Anyway, to try and keep myself talking and continue producing content while I'm opening the box, contained within this box are, like I said, the two different Johnson Smith Company ventriloquist figures. Now, the two figures you could get were, well, one of them had technically two different names. There was Archie the Boy Wonder, or Archie My Buddy, was the one of the two figures. And the other one was Dumbo the Clown. Now, these things were very cheaply made, and as such, it's kind of an amazing thing that they've survived all these years. So now that I've got the box open, I just saw the tops of their heads, but I'm going to give you all a quick little peek. If the box top doesn't block your view. So now, for the first time, potentially ever on the internet, because I actually tried looking up videos here on YouTube to see if anyone else has talked about these. And there are people who've talked about the novelties you could get from the back of the comic books, but from what I saw, if it's out there, my apologies for saying I'm the first, but I couldn't really find anything on these figures. So we're going to go ahead and going to gently pull these little guys out of the box. Now, as per the usual, when I buy things like this, these guys are not perfect. As a matter of fact, they are missing pieces. But the main identifying features of these puppets are still there, and that's what counts. Right? Right. Ooh, they've got a bit of an aroma. It's this weird smell that's almost minty. It's almost like I want to say like a chewing tobacco or a mint cigar kind of aroma wafting off of these two, especially Archie here. Alright, so we'll set Dumbo off to the side for the moment, and we'll focus on Archie. Either my buddy or the Boy Wonder. These things are definitely going to need a clean. I can feel the fabrics just kind of... Don't know how well y'all can hear that, but it's a little bit on the crunchy side. But anyway, Archie the Boy Wonder. Now these things were made, like I said, extremely cheaply. Like, from what I understand of it, it's very hard to find any two Archies to put side by side and have them have the same clothing on. Because the company who made these literally just took the head, the hands, which by the way, I'll throw a picture in what the hands look like. Still not entirely sure why they have the one hand doing like this position while the other hand's just kind of like this. Anyway. So, all the bodies on these are different, from what I understand of it. I mean, there could be an example out there where someone actually found two Archies that have the exact same outfit on, but I have not seen that photograph. The one thing about these, though, that kind of helps sell the fact that they were sold as, actual ventriloquist figures is the fact that they have a head stick. Like, there's this plastic little thing in here. From what I've seen in pictures, I've only ever seen a very small snippet of the end of it, which made it look, given the flesh color and the fact that it's, a round cylindrical object, makes it look like Archie's a boy, we'll put it that way. But yeah, there's a hole in the back of the figure here from which that sticks out, and this is not what it looks like, YouTube. It's the head stick for Archie. Nothing else. I have to say that so that YouTube doesn't go, hey, that's a thing, eh? Like knock my video off the internet. But he also, from what I understand, it's hard to find these guys with like matching paint jobs. Because I've seen some of them where like the bill of the hat here will be red and the actual hat itself will be blue. The face is usually the same, the same colorations. And the eyes are usually pointed in the same direction. But as you can tell, this guy, he's seen some play. He's seen some action over the last 40, 50 odd years. Now let's see, does the mouth actually work? If I'm not mistaken, from the images I've seen, this white string here should operate the mouth. Let's go ahead and get a grip on that. See if I pull on that, will the mouth open? How far do I have to pull it to get the mouth to open? That's the new question. Okay, I don't know if it's something I'm doing wrong, but the mouth is not working. Hold on, let me just carefully wiggle my hands up inside the back here and find where the string is attached. Oh, okay. Okay, I see how these things work now. They're so cheap, there's not actually even like a rubber band in there to hold the mouth shut. The mouth is supposed to hang open like this until you pull the string. Wow. I mean, wow. So yeah, from what I've seen online, it should be easy enough to, yep, one can very easily remove the head, which I have just done. So now we get to see exactly what that looks like, the actual head stick without the body. And I'm definitely going to put the body through the washer, because it's not the worst smell I've ever smelled, but it's funky, to say the least. So Archie, that's what your body looks like. Ah! All right. So yeah, the way the head operates, I'm just going to put Archie's cloth, his clothing, his body over there, is that you pull this string out the back like so, and it would be behind the figure like this. Oh, okay, I think I see how this was actually originally supposed to be set up. Because originally when these things were in the package, if you notice there's this like dimple of a hole right here, there would be a little ring, a little metal ring with some fabric attached to it, which looks notoriously like this piece of string right here, which seems to be an elastic cord, which would be attached up through the head and poking out of that hole there. So I'm going to guess that that string would hold Archie's mouth open like this. Then he'd pull this string, and then that would cause the mouth to close. Definitely going to have to figure out some way to, to get this head open, because it's one solid blow molded piece of plastic. And get the string up through there. Depending on how flimsy the plastic is, I might be able to just, like pop his jaw off of there, restring everything, and do that. I'm hoping it's going to be that easy, because otherwise I think the only other way to do this would be to take an X-Acto knife and just slice along the seam, pop his head into two pieces, put everything back together, and then glue it. But I'm not sure how well this plastic is going to take to, super glue. Anyway, it's been Archie. Some people theorize that the reason why he's called Archie was because since he was advertised in comic books in some spots, that they were capitalizing on, Archie comics and stuff like that. Personally, I don't see it, but what do I know? That's weird. For whatever reason, it's probably going to be hard to tell, but they actually have nostril holes in this silly little goober. Weird. Alright, so that's been Archie, or in this case, just his head. Now let's move on over to Dumbo. So, okay. The boots are actually different than what I was expecting. Because in all images I've seen of these puppets, I thought for sure that the boots were just bootleg G.I. Joe boots, but that's actually a decent-sized boot. So it could still be a bootleg G.I. Joe boot, but it's just a very big one. So with Dumbo here, it's basically the same thing, plastic head, cloth body, but this guy demonstrates one of the things that was advertised that you could do with these figures. To make them look more realistic, more lifelike, you could stuff the body with cotton, which apparently someone did back in the day. And you could also stuff it with other things, but, whatever. So he's the same basic principle as Archie, although obviously he's a clown, which makes him just that much more horrifying to some people. Let's see, do you still have your string? Feels like it. Yep. Still got his string, which makes it look like he's got some kind of demon tail. Let's see, do you still work? Yep, just the same as Archie. The mouth stays open until you pull his string, and or I guess his mouth just kind of closes on its own sometimes. And in a similar fashion to Archie, I'm sure I could get the head off of this guy, but the fabric is fairly tight on him, so I'd probably have to undo a stitch or two. Whereas with Archie's shirt collar was much looser than Dumbo's here. But as you can see, Dumbo had a red plastic pair of these boots, and Archie over there would have come with a black pair of boots. So it's going to be an interesting project getting these two back up and running again. Wouldn't you say, Dumbo? Don't call me Dumbo. But that's your name. It may be my name, but I choose not to accept it. Well, okay then. Also, it's an interesting thing I'm going to have to try and figure out how to fix, is that big old hole right there in Dumbo's nose. Apparently, at some point, someone decided that, wait a minute, if he doesn't have any nostrils, how can he breathe? And just popped a hole in his nose. Either that or some little kid was like, it's scary, and then they started attacking him with a pencil or something. I don't know. But that is about the face of a nightmare right there. Some people would probably call him cute. I personally think he's an interesting looking character. Let's quickly switch over to the other side of the head and keep the rotation going. But yeah, he has a little hat molded into the top of his head, and of course he would have had those same plastic hands as Archie. He would have also, like I already described, he would have had plastic feet. But he's missing one, so he's not in a good way. Are you, Dumbo? I thought not. Alright. Oh, well, with him it's going to be a bit of an easier fix. Because there is this humongous gap behind his lower jaw here. Whereas with Archie, there's still a bit of plastic stuck in there that prevents the mouth from being opened far enough to actually get in there that way. See, his mouth only opens up this far. Dumbo's mouth is like, ah. Alright, so for the moment I'm going to put Archie back together and we'll wrap this thing up. One thing I should point out, I actually pulled something out so that I could do a comparison. So these guys are advertised, like I said, in the illustrations and the old advertisements as being a full-size puppet, when in reality, to give you guys a size comparison, they're just about the size of a standard 1980s talking doll, like Beetlejuice here. Let me try and get you two about more even. So, yeah, actually he might be just a smidge taller than Beetlejuice here. On that note, hey Beetlejuice, what do you got to say about our new little housemates? I agree. On behalf of myself, Archie, and Dumbo here, I want to hope you all have a good rest of your day. And also, I just remembered something. I remembered something else. I'm going to be starting a short series of videos in which... Sorry, I just got a lung full of that funky smell. Okay, you two go back in the box for the moment. I'm going to be doing a brief little series on repairing and putting back together these kind of puppets, like actual ventriloquist dolls. Because I've had some puppets that I bought years ago that I bought with the express purpose of rebuilding. Like, y'all remember Post Mortimer Snurd here? All I was able to get from that particular transaction was his head. I've also got Laurel and Hardy here. I've got their the remainder of their cloth bodies, their hands and outfits and everything in one of these drawers over here. But I just got so used to having them as backgrounds decoration that they just kind of, never got finished. But with the acquisition of that Mo Howard puppet, along with Archie and Dumbo over here, I have decided that I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to commit to finally repairing these puppets and getting them back up and operational again. So stay tuned for that. It's at present I only have about 10 puppets that need work done on them, including those 3 poor fellas over there. And that's including Dumbo and Archie over here. It's going to be quite the job trying to find the missing pieces for them. Like, I don't know, I think for Archie, I'm going to replace his original feet with a pair of G.I. Joe boots, but they're going to be very small. But, again, I don't know 100%. Anyway, thank you all so very much for tuning in. I do truly and greatly appreciate it. If you like what you've seen here and you'd like to help try and support the channel, feel free to go ahead and subscribe to my Patreon. There's not a whole lot there presently, but I'm working on it. And also, the usual nonsense, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Hit the little bell icon to be notified of future uploads once you are subscribed. You'll be glad you did. And with all of that having been said, this is your old pal Oxleymations saying, I'll see y'all in the next episode. Later.